Hi there, BookTube. I thought, since I literally just filmed my Borrowthon TBR, but I got another bunch of books out from my library, so I thought I share them with you and talk a little about the books I know something about. Let's just share the library love, shall we? Since that is fitting for the Borrowthon Readathon week. So the first book I got is The Sun by Philip Meyer. This is, I think if I remember it correctly, a story that follows a family through generations, I think from the 1800s to the 20th or the 21st century, and it is taking place in Texas. It is more than just an epic family story, but it is also just about nature and love and nurturing, and I love those kinds of books, so I wanted to give it a try, and my library had it. Finally, so I got it. The next book is another book I don't know anything about, and that is Bright Edge of the World by Eowyn Ivy. I butchered that name. Horrible. I'm sorry. I don't know how to say that author's name, but I do love the cover. This is a magical realism book. I am one of those readers that either really loves magical realism and gets really into the book and falls in love and basically wants to reread that book over and over and over again, or I read the magical realism book and have no clue what is going on, and I mean none. I read the entire thing and I could not even tell you what the first page was about because it just didn't make any sense at all to me. I do hope that this book makes sense to me, but that is why I wanted to get it from the library. The next English book I have is Room by Emma Donoghue. This is another book I wanted to get from the library because I don't know how much I will enjoy. Enjoy might be the wrong word to use for this, because it is a book about a kidnapped woman that is held in a room for years, and she is, I'm guessing, raped because she has this little boy, and it is partly told from the child's perspective, and I don't know if I would ever reread a book like this, so it doesn't really make sense to have it on my shelves, and I will report back. And the next book, Istanbul by Orhan Pamuk. Not sure if I said his name right. He is a Turkish author, and this is a travel memoir, non-fiction travel memoir. It is stories about the city of Istanbul. I got it because I love the cover, and I think Istanbul is a really interesting city, so I thought, why not give this a read? I don't know anything about this book. I never even heard about this book. Why not give a memoir book a try about a city? And then keep going with the adult books, and I got a crime book, and that is Victim Without a Face by Stephen Arnhem. He is a Swedish author, and his books are translated from Swedish into English, so I don't mind getting it instead in the German translation, which I have easier access to in my library, and I prefer getting thrillers or crime books from the library because most of the time I read them once, and very, very fast reads for me, so getting them from the library makes more sense. I don't know anything about this. I just heard great things about this author, and I do really enjoy Swedish crime books, so I thought, why not give it a try? Which, is the theme of this book haul. The next book I actually have 2 copies of right now. The first is the German edition, Und damit fing es an. And I also have the Gustav Sonata, which is the English version of this, by Rose Trenmain as an ebook that came from Overdrive. I asked for the book through Overdrive, but they said it would take until summer to get. So when I saw it in my library in German, I just thought, why not give it a try in that and see if I like it, and if I like it, I might read it in English when it finally comes. But it came way, way faster, so now I have this and the English ebook. But we'll see which language I read it in. Whichever one I don't read, I will give back. Obviously. I do actually know what this book is about. It is a World War II book in Switzerland about 2 little boys, or 2 boys that share a very intense friendship, not knowing how intense it is before something happens, I think. It is not a very big book. It is on a huge amount book award list, so I wanted to give it a read and see. The next book is Canada by Richard Ford, and actually the only reason I got this is because I read that the parents of the main character in this book are bank robbers, and I have this very strange fascination with bank robbers. I love watching movies and TV shows and anything really that has to do with thieves. I just really find them interesting. People that don't hurt others in a violent way by taking something from them, it is just really fascinating to me. And I'm not alone with that, right? Anyway, this is everything I know about this book. I do know that Richard Ford is a very acclaimed and popular author, so I wanted to give his stuff a read anyway, but when I read his book is about bank robbers, I picked this, and I will read this and see how much the bank robber stuff takes place in this book. The next book is a German one that doesn't have an English translation, and that is Die Gabe der Zeichnerin by Martina Kempf. I would translate this to The Gift of the Artist. Not completely sure if that is how it would be translated, if it would be translated or if it is translated, because sometimes they do the strange thing with the titles. But I just thought it sounded interesting because of the Muslim daughter of a Catholic Roman architect, and I wanted to give it a try. And it's not a huge book, and that really rarely happens with historical fiction. The next book is Joyce Carol Oates' Blonde. This is a fictional memoir of Marilyn Monroe. There is a huge fascination about this woman, so I just thought, why not give this a try? Maybe. We'll see. And then I got two YA kind of books. The first one is a German classic, and that is Winnetou by Karl May. In English, it's the same title. It's Winnetou as well. I think it's written the same way. It is a Western taking place in America. It is about the Indian American Winnetou and his white man friend, Old Shatterhand. And I think you can pretty much tell from the names of the characters and how this cover looks. It's that kind of Western classic. But I actually grew up on those movies and I never read the books. But if you grow up German speaking area, you know about Winnetou. I always wanted to read the books. My mom grew up reading the books. I just thought I will see if I read it this time or not. And then I got a book I never ever planned to read. And you can kind of put this in the category of booktube and book bloggers made me do it. And that is Twilight by Stephenie Meyer. I never wanted to read her books. I was in the perfect age when this book came out, but I just wasn't interested in glittering vampires. I was a Buffy girl growing up. So for me, glittering vampires were those kinds of vampires that Angel and Spike would have just destroyed. So for me, Twilight never was a book I wanted to read, which might sound strange. And anyway, there has been so much talk lately about this book. Positive, negative, the middle ground. I want to finally read it and see what it is all about. But I'm going into this book not expecting to love it or enjoy it that much, giving myself the permission to not continue on with the series. I'm normally one of those people that if I start a series, I have to finish it. But with this book, I'm giving myself the permission to not finish it. If I don't like this book, I don't have to read anymore. And I want to finally read this first book and see what the series is all about, what people are talking about, when they say anything, because I never watched the movies, I never read the books, so I really don't know anything about this, and I want to finally see what it is all about that everybody's talking about. And completely making a head-spinning change in books, I also got Bruce Springsteen's Born to Run. This is his memoir about his life, his music career, just generally his view on life. And I got interested in reading this book when I heard he wanted to share his experience of his performance in the Super Bowl. This book grew from that. This chunker came out of it. And the library had it, and I thought, why not give it a try? And the last book is one I actually already read in English, but I had some problems with it in English. Now, I don't know if that is because English is my second language, and while I think I'm not too terrible at it, and I do most of the time have no problems reading it, I sometimes with, for example, classics, especially those old classics, or very dense books, I have problems with those in English. Not sure why, but I do. Because of that, I got the first book in the Song of Ice and Fire or the Game of Thrones series by George R. R. Martin. This is, as I said, the German edition. This is Der Winter naht, and I actually did not plan to get this book this month, but it is brand new. I mean brand new. The little bookmark thing that is in this book here is not even pulled out. That is how new this book is. I'm the first person checking this book out. I snapped it because I love brand new library books. and I do want to read this book in German. I'm not even sure if I'm going to read the entire thing. I want to at least start, depending on if it makes such a huge difference reading it in German than it makes in reading it in English. If I'm having a much easier time reading it in German, then the English books have to wait until I read the entire thing in German and then reread them in English, because then I know what they're talking about, and then I can enjoy the English book because I don't have to keep focusing on what the author wants from me, which might make no sense to you at all if you're somebody that is bilingual or multilingual and doesn't have the problem, or if you're somebody that only speaks English. But especially with fantasy books, I noticed I really have problems. I don't know why. Maybe because I don't live in that world, and the world building sometimes isn't the best. Let's just be honest. And George R. R. Martin's writing is very dense, is very specific. So I just wanted to give his book in German a try, and it is brand new. Who doesn't love brand new library book? So I got it because of that. The other books I got, you have to look up in my Borrowathon TBR, which I will link. I would love to hear from you guys if you read any of the books and what you thought about them, if you recommend them, if you would say that The Bright Edge of the World is not a good magical realism book. If you don't get magical realism, please let me know as well, because then I can just give that book back and forget about it. If you're a bilingual reader, please let me know if you sometimes have to read the book in your mother language or in your first language. I would love to hear about that, or if I'm just unique that way. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, please let me know and give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, and I hope to see you in my next one. Bye! Set in Switzerland.